Welcome back to the Valicites podcast, where finance leaders, CFOs, and innovators come to rethink how strategy, technology, and operations intersect. Today's guest, one of my favorite people out there, I'm telling you, he brings an unmatched mix of fractional CFO experience, FP&A experience, and expertise, and a no-nonsense, as I like to call, approach to transforming small and mid-sized businesses, SMBs. Chris Ortega, you've seen him on LinkedIn. He's all over. Is the founder and CEO of Fresh FP&A, a fractional CFO and advisory company that helps SMB leaders turn financial chaos into clarity, confidence, and my favorite, profitable growth. With more than 20 years of experience in corporate finance, FP&A, and leadership at companies like SAP, Covance, and GE Capital, Chris has scaled multiple businesses, led global finance teams, has done M&A work, and built frameworks for sustainable growth. He's also a frequent keynote speaker at AICPA, the World Finance Forum, SAP Finance Connect. I can go on and on. This guy's everywhere. Chris, and I love too that you give us a look behind the scenes as well. We get to watch you travel, your speeches, your jam sessions. I love some of the workshops. I'm already getting fired up, so we're going to talk about it. You're teaching CFOs and finance leaders how to leverage AI, automation, and proactive ways for financial planning to stay ahead of this disruption. And so in this episode, we'll talk about how fractional CFO services are transforming SMB growth, why clarity, not complexity, is the real superpower in finance, the skills CFOs need to stay relevant in an AI-powered world. Chris's favorite, I love that you chat about this, practical cash flow, forecasting and scenario planning strategies for SMBs, and how to build a brand, a personal brand, a company brand. You're a very influential CEO, so we're looking forward to chatting about brand building, not only for clients, but investors, and more importantly, employees. And if we have time, Chris is busy. Chris, you're going to challenge me. I want to know how we've had multiple conversations, how we can continue to grow Valicites, maybe as the AI DNA of accounting firms and fractional CFOs. I haven't forgot our last conversation. And so, Chris, welcome to the Valicites podcast, sir.
Hey, thank you for having me, man. Looking forward to this conversation, man. And just thank you for the great introduction, man. Just some corrections in that introduction. Like I have been at SAP. Some of the companies you mentioned, GE and other ones, like I've not ever worked there. So some of the companies, I've had that big company experience. I just wanted to correct that a little bit.
No, thanks for doing that. And so sorry about that.
Yeah,
but
no
walk
worries.
us through. I mean, 20 years of experience in the FP&A world. Like what led you to launch Fresh FP&A? I love the name, by the way.
Yeah, so for me, man, it's been quite the journey. And before starting Fresh FP&A 4 years ago, most of my experience was coming in as a first finance hire, building, shaping, scaling, and exiting companies. So that's been from large pharma companies all the way to like strategic acquisitions, all the way through like software companies getting acquired by SAP. So most of my background has always been in that high growth, small to medium sized business. You come in, there is no foundation there. You're building the foundations, you're building the processes, you're building the value, and then ultimately leading those companies through acquisition. So that's been most of my background. And then the catalyst for Fresh FP&A is I got through like my last exit that I was a part of, and that was overall selling international marketing platform company. We sold to SAP. I stayed over for a year to help with the post-merger integrations for both the companies. Then I found myself at like this fork in the road. I realized three things. The first thing is I felt like there needed to be a fresh perspective brought to finance. The second one is I really wanted to work and make impactful work and value to small to medium-sized businesses. And really the third thing, and this is like our passion thesis statement for Fresh FP&A, is I wanted to use my skills, passions, talents, and experiences to help these SMBs grow and achieve greatness in their business and greatness in their lives. So for me, I took the leap of faith. I lived out my initials, which are CEO, and I took the leap of faith and started Fresh FP&A, and I've been doing that. We've been making value. We've been growing. We've been bringing on clients. We've been expanding verticals. We've been moving internationally, the whole thing. And I'm super excited and thankful for the team that helps support us at Fresh FP&A, the clients, the partners, everybody that's part of the Fresh FP&A umbrella to really help those SMBs grow with financial clarity and confidence. So that's a little bit about my background and what led me to starting Fresh FP&A.
I love it. It's such a great story, and I've heard it a couple times now. We met for the first time. I know we've been chatting back and forth on
Dallas, right?
LinkedIn.
It was
That's
Dallas,
right, in
right?
Dallas at
Yeah,
the World Finance
let's
Forum. Yeah, it was
go.
good to
Let's
have
go.
you in the big state of Texas. But man, I just had so much fun. Your energy, right? The charisma, the work ethic is so contagious, and we had a great conversation about what this landscape and finance looks like now with more of a mainstream introduction of AI. But you say it a lot, and I love your videos on LinkedIn. Helping SMBs lead with financial clarity. Can you walk us through just how does that look like practically? What does that look like or mean in practice?
Yeah, so for me, man, when small to medium sized businesses, so we help support growing SMBs. SMBs defined for us are $1 to about $50 million in annual revenue. And here's the challenge. I've been in SMBs as a finance person, right? And there's really three things that I think most SMBs in that space come across. The first thing that they come across is they have this need. Maybe they have a bookkeeper, maybe they have someone come in looking at their books, outside
Mm-hmm.
accounting or whatever, but they have this need of saying, hey, I'm growing, but I don't know what that means for the future. So that's one key area. The second thing is they need someone that comes through with that experience, right? Like someone that's been there, done that, know the pitfalls, know how to build the foundation pillars, which I call the people, the process, and the partnership. So they're
Love
looking
that.
for that. And then the third element of bringing that financial clarity is they look at it and say, man, I don't know if I have the business set up. I don't know if I can afford a full-time CFO, nor do I
Mm-hmm.
think we have the infrastructure to support that role and responsibility. So these SMBs have that gap. They have those things that they're looking for. And to me, this is what I've done my entire career, right? Like I've started my career in public accounting. I grew up in FP&A, and then ultimately led finance organizations and reached the highest levels in finance. And that's where, to me, I'm like, there's this gap.
Mm.
And I know me, I'm a very impact, mission driven purpose person. So like really getting that focus and working with these SMBs, that's what we mean by financial clarity and confidence as they grow,
Yeah.
right? Because a lot of these companies, man, and we have ranges of all different kind of sizes of companies in that $1 to $50 million that work with us at Fresh FP&A. And the number one thing that I see is they're so surprised when they actually work with the strategic CFO and a strategic finance team. And they're
Mm.
so used to, getting their month end close 3 months ago, and they're making decisions off of very old data. They don't have the agility. They don't have that, CFO that is guiding, helping them, having those conversations, meeting with them, looking at the business. So that's that clarity. That's that confidence that we bring to those growing SMBs.
How did there's a lot of people that watch this that are fractional CFOs or in the
Yeah.
corporate arena, but want to make that change and start their own business, right?
Hmm.
Rep the CEO. And by the way, y'all, it's not easy. And Chris will tell you, right? It's a
For sure.
grind and you do it so well. But how have you found the best way to shift that mindset for some of these SMBs that they've gone through the traditional salary, full-time potentially, or are we even thinking about hiring on a full-time financial executive? However, then they realize I don't have that in the budget. Like, how do you
Yeah.
press the value and the education around what is an interim or fractional CFO that you're used to delivering?
Yeah, so I think for me, when SMBs are considering that, the first thing I always tell them to think about is this is the number one most important thing. And it's something I call was fractional CFO remorse that I deal with a lot of SMBs and clients that come on board. And
Right.
I'll break that down. What that fractional CFO remorse is a lot of these SMBs, and here's the reality around being a fractional CFO, right? There really is no there's no course on it. There's no curriculum. It's just like I see people that have been in accounting like 3 years, and they're like staff accountants,
Mm,
and they're like, I'm starting a fractional CFO business.
right.
So these SMBs would work with that person, and they quickly realize is like, man, I did not hire a strategic, experienced, passionate finance leader that had been there and done that. So they have this remorse around bringing in a fractional CFO because they've kind of been burned by the past of having like a bona fide bookkeeper
Hmm.
or a bona fide controller. So my first thing to get over that fractional CFO remorse for those SMBs is make sure you dive. If the first question you're talking to a fractional CFO and they're asking you how you're reconciling your bank statements or what ERP are you using, you're probably dealing with an accounting kind of focus, right? some of those conversations, it's going to feel different. You're going to be thinking about things that nobody's ever asked you about. How you think about the future of your business? How are you thinking about growth? So that's the first thing I always say for those SMBs that are looking to bring on a fractional CFO. Make sure they have the experience, make sure they have the depth, make sure that they can point you to exact situations where they've grown and scaled finance teams, how they help supported it, how do they provide value just outside of the finance. I think that's what FP&A means to us. When I was starting the organization, right? Financial planning analysis is not what FP&A means to Fresh FP&A. We want to be your financial partners and advisors. Honestly, if you're doing financial planning analysis, go get a technology to do that. It just sounds like a technology should be doing the financial planning analysis, right? What you really need is a financial partner and advisor to help you grow your business with clarity and confidence. So that's what we bring, and that's a differentiator. So that to me is like that first step for all those SMBs. You may be thinking about it, or other people are thinking about, I get LinkedIn messages all the time, and people want to say, Chris, I want to be a fractional CFO. What should I do? And full honesty, I look at their background and I'm like, man, you've been in audit your whole life, right? And I always talk with them. I take those meetings. I say the best thing that you can do is get that practical, real life experience of where you've grown, scaled, made mistakes, made failures to help people grow and scale. Like that's going to be more valuable to you than like starting a fractional CFO business.
Right. That's the real life MBA. And you talk a lot about growth and the future of business, right? And you say this a lot. I love your posts when you bring it up. It's, hey, we're going to take you from being in reactive mode to proactive. And I know every business is different, but let's say you lift up the hood or Fresh FP&A lifts up the hood. What's one of the things, the most common things that you see is, whoa, this is very reactive. We need to switch this up and make this a proactive finance back office.
Man, the first area always what we see it's the two KPIs that we look at every day, and we talk with our CEOs, owners, and founders that we help support: cash burn and cash runway. I always say, I've been saying this for decades now, profits are a dream, but cash is a reality. And you'd be surprised how many CEOs are just like, they're looking at their P&L and they're like, man, everything is good. But then on Friday, they miss that payroll, right? So I always say, like, cash is everything. How you're getting your cash in, how you're making sure you manage your cash out. What are the processes you have around that? What is the tech stack you're using around it? What's the cadence that you have? I mean, everything in growing SMBs boils down to cash. Because when you're a larger organization and you're, $150 million and you have an entire treasury management function, most SMBs don't have that. Right. Really, honestly, most SMB CEOs, owners, and founders are just like, they're looking at their bank account and just saying, okay, like they're doing napkin math. They're like putting numbers on a napkin, be like, oh, I got payroll.
It's a good week.
Yeah, it's a good week, right? But when it's not a good week, right, and you don't know, and you're not even knowing the runway that you have left to say, yeah, you may have some good weeks, but you've got some things coming up that it's only going to give you 4 months of runway. So then they get into this, I don't know what to do, and I don't know who to access. I don't know. So to me, that is the primary two most important metrics. It is the one we talk about with our clients the most. It's the one we keep track of the most. It's the one we forecast the most. Cash burn, cash runway for high growth SMB companies is vital. And bringing in people that know the strategies behind that, right? Like they know, they have the banking relationship. So if you need access to capital, they have the communications to look at your processes to know if we can realign some customer contracts to bring in cash faster. Right. We have technology that we can leverage to help automate and take cost reductions out of cash outflow processes. So that's where everything centers to that. And that's where we come in and take an approach of building out the strategies, the tactics, the metrics, the milestone, and execution. That's our strategic funnel and framework that we come with to help those SMBs, specifically around cash burn and cash runway.
It's one of my favorite topics. And just from your experience and with your team, what you all see, is it typically a visibility thing? Like you're bringing up runway and burn. Is it they just don't know, are not aware, or is it more of a timing? Like you mentioned frequency, right? It's just not timing inflow and outflows. I see that a lot where it's like, oh, you just have an upside down cash flow management flow, like process. Like it's just, that's why you're loving paying your bills. You just don't like to collect. It's like, there you go. What do you see?
the number one thing that I see when SMBs are struggling with that and they're growing, right, is like growth without like understanding the drivers of the growth is a dangerous place to be.
Mm-hmm.
And you see these companies that are growing, right? They're growing double digits year over year, and they're like, man, money's flowing in, right? But what about when it's not flowing in, right? Like, and when you go through that cycle and now you're reactive. So I think the number one thing that I see where SMBs struggle with that is they're basing all of their decisions on like the now, right? They're logging into their bank account, said, I just made these payments, right? But what does that mean in the next 3, 4, 6 months?
I love that.
And how do you have that clarity going forward on that, right? So a lot of times I see owners and they're just like, we ask them is like, hey, what have you been doing to manage your cash flow? And they're like, Chris, I literally log into my bank on a Friday. I know when we got to make payroll, and I open up my Excel document, I put in my bank balance, and I'm just like doing math in Excel. And I'm like, okay, so how are you knowing the precision you have around that? One thing that we measure with our clients is our cash flow forecasting accuracy. We want to be in the first 30 days, 99%, 98 plus percent accurate in our cash flow forecast. 60 days, we want to be 97, 98. 90 days, we want to be 95 to, a little bit higher in our confidence interval of how we're forecasting cash. So once you break it down like that, now you're getting them in the mindset that I'm not thinking about it every Friday. I'm thinking about it in the next 3 months. I'm thinking about it in the next 6 months. I'm thinking about it in the next 9 months. I'm thinking about how we're looking at cash and what that horizon looks like, and tying that out to strategies that they're having in the business, right? And here's the thing, like most CEOs, owners, and founders, they don't like doing this work. They don't like sitting there and going through this stuff, and they're just like, it just worked for me. So that is where I see them struggle the most, is that they just have this like, it's just an exercise I have to do. I do it every Friday, or I do it every time I pay your payroll, and I don't think about it I don't think about any other time besides either I have to pay people or I'm trying to collect people. And that is where you create the behaviors, and where now you're reactive, and now you access the money really quick, or now you just hired this person and you realize that you don't even have the cash flow to pay them for the next couple of months. So it's about that visibility looking forward. And I think it's more, and most organizations are so used to just looking at the past, right? They have a bookkeeper, and their bookkeeper's giving them financials from 2 months ago, and they're like, great, I got my financial 2 months ago, but 2 months has passed and we got 2 new customers. So what does that mean? To me, that is like the biggest gap that I see with a lot of SMBs are struggling with.
And I think a lot of people listening completely relate with that, because I see it, and I know you do. I see it so often. It's exactly that. It's 1 month, 2 months later. It's like, what does it mean anymore? I mean, you could have made decisions far sooner, right? And so, but by the way, I love not only your forecasting approach. Are we thinking about this? But let's also be precise. Like precision is also clarity and precision. So I've been following you for a while, and I remember, I'm like, oh, hey, what is this AI? Chris is in it now. Like he's talking about this. I saw you go to a couple different conferences where you were doing workshops, like live workshops. We're going to pull out the computer. Can you walk us through what made you pivot to finance and AI? And then can you walk us through some of these examples of where you've had some just raw experiences? Like, we're going to pull out your computer and we're going to build together. I think more organizations should do that. Can you walk us through what I call those jam sessions?
Yeah, so I think for me, it wasn't necessarily like a pivot. It's just honestly a compliment. I remember talking about AI and finance about 12, 13 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was at an AICPA conference, and one of the questions that was back then, and even the questions we have now, is like, is AI going to take my job? And I remember answering that at that AICPA conference, and my answer hasn't changed 12, 13 years ago than it does today, is that it's not going to replace us. It's meant to level us up in the higher value activities we need to provide.
Right.
So like, that's always, and I've implemented AI in organizations. Fresh FP&A, we leverage Copilot, ChatGPT, and Gemini literally every day. We work with our clients in using it. So for me, I've always looked at it, and I've always looked at technology, not just AI, right? I've always had a viewpoint of technology is like technology is how my team is going to scale. It's how my value is going to scale. It's how it's going to get me out of the stuff I don't want to do and get me into the conversations and get me at the table for the things that I want to do. So this prevalence around it, and really like breaking down this chasm of like, I see struggle from a lot of CFOs that are like, Chris, I don't know where to get started. So I partnered with a good friend of mine, and we just said, like, look, let's get beyond the theory. Let's get beyond what this stuff means. Like, let's do the work. Like, you're going to come to these sessions. You're going to have your ChatGPT, Copilot, or Gemini accounts, and we are going to walk through accounting. We're going to walk through finance. We're going to walk through productivity. We're going to walk through tax. We're going to walk through CFO, all the use cases of where you can use these tools, and we're going to enable you how to prompt. So we're getting into it. Yeah. And to me, I think that's been super valuable for people, because a lot of them are just like, I don't know where to start. What do I do? Like, what do I look at? And I'm just, here's that first step. So that was the intention of what those sessions were. And and here's the thing, man, I could talk about it because, like, I live this every day. Like, this isn't, like this. I think some people, when they talk about AI and finance, and I'm not, throwing shade, but it's like, what are you really doing with it? You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that's great, but like, show me how you using that provided value to a client, or helped your team be more efficient, or helped you get the information that you needed to make a better decision. So it's me demystifying what it is and showing people real life, we're doing this together, of the value that it can have. And like I said, we're technology adopters at Fresh FP&A. My team globally leverage it. We have clients that leverage it, specifically in the Office 365 shop. We've helped a couple clients get their Copilot set up, and now that we have them in, their data marts in Azure, and they've already leveraged Power BI, now they're bringing Copilot in part of that, and we're leveraging that in our workflows. It's just a game changer in terms of being able to, like, level up your value, right? And get the insights to the organizations that they need. That's what I'm all about. Practical use. Where's my first place to start? And what's the value that it brings in with our clients and also internally with our team?
Man, you bring up some amazing tools, though. There's some of my favorite, including the Microsoft ecosystem. Just makes it so easy. I play a lot with Copilot and OneNote, and it's like, man, and my transcriber, and I'm like, I'm good. I haven't written. I might have forgotten how to write, man. Like, I don't even.
Facts, man.
These fingers are too precious. So I love what you say about AI and what you're up to, and just from your practical experience. I think it came out from McKinsey, or maybe it was Boston Consulting Group, or whoever it was, but they were mentioning recently, this was a couple of weeks ago, 70% of these AI pilots are failing. What have you seen that leads to that? Are people just getting a little too out there on we're going to be AI first everything, and they're not focusing on the low hanging fruit? What is it?
Man, number one thing around any technology adoption, I've learned this the hard way. I've made this mistake, right? I believe that most of these are failing is because they're starting with the technology first and not starting with the pains, frustrations, and challenges first. I've implemented technology, and here's the reality. Most of them are probably in, and I've been there. So, like, I'm raising my hand and say, I have failed at this. But I learned from it because, like, if you start with the technologies first, right? Like, that's like going to a car dealership, and the first thing that they show you is the Lamborghini Murcielago, right? Or the Lamborghini Aventador, and you see all the fancy features of that car. You see it's a V12. It's got all these cool things, right? And you're like, I need that car, right? So then you go buy the car. Then you bring the car into your daily life, and all you're doing is driving that car in a school zone, right? Like, you've got $100,000 fully feature, every feature you can imagine car, but you're driving it in a school zone kind of environment. It's the same thing that finance teams do. They go see that shiny new tech, that technology company shows them, then they try to bring it to their organization, and it doesn't solve the pains, problems, and frustrations that they had. So my first step, if you're looking for AI adoption, wherever you're at in your role, and this goes for technology adoption overall, maybe you're looking at FP&A tools, maybe you're looking at accounting, maybe you're looking at AP, AR, credit card, whatever it is. The first place to start that's going to scale you is deeply, intimately know the pains, the frustrations, and challenges inside of your business first. Know those, live those, go interview people, go talk outside the business, go really get deep in understanding that pain and that frustration and those challenges. Then look at the technologies that help you take that pain, frustration, challenge, take you to productivity. That's what you do. That's what you have to go. When I've done that process, Now you find technologies that are like, I can come in, here's the core frustrations it's going to solve, here's how they do it. And here's also, as we look forward, if we have new pains, new frustration, here's how that technology can scale. So the number one mistake I see finance CFOs make when they adopt any technology is they start with the technology. That should be like the last thing that you look at.
Right. Yeah, I love that. Integration being the last point, right? It's like, have you
Yeah.
evaluated? Have you interviewed? Have you asked the right questions? Have you found those
Facts.
low-hanging fruit pain points? It's so spot
Yeah.
on. One of the things I remember from one of our last conversations, I mean, you're so inspiring, and you actually were on stage at the World Finance Forum. You were leading a panel around.
Yeah, that was dope, man.
Yeah, I loved it. And I loved your kicks too. I'm like, this guy is too.
That was fun, dude.
I wish I could pull off your attire, like the fresh come, like this guy. And the name of the company, I'm like, of course, this guy is too fresh.
That was fun. That was fun.
But it was about personal branding. So I want to switch gears here, because you do this really well. And I appreciate, by the way, I love those that you mentor in your hometown and the schools that you're traveling. That's really cool. We need more of that. And so, I got 3 kiddos, 2 boys, and trying to teach them to be leaders of their community, and actually show 100%. Them a post of yours, including, and maybe we won't get to it, or maybe we can, around boxing, not only your experience, but supporting your colleagues and friends and family. So cool. But walk us through just why do you think personal branding so important, not just for CFOs out there, financial executives, but for everyone in the corporate arena or outside of the corporate arena?
I mean, here's the thing, man. Like, so I was actually interviewing. Shout out to my guy Adam Zecchi at at CFO.com. We literally talked about this question when I was in New York last week, and he asked me. He's like, Chris, man, how do you keep such high energy? How are you always on? And like, how does that? And that shows in your brand. Like, how are you able to bridge those? And my answer to him is exactly this, man. Like, honestly, this is me all the time. Like, my personal brand and like what we're doing in the Fresh FP&A, like how I show up authentically, how I show up with expertise, how I show up like willing to help, how I show up like passionate about this stuff. Like, there is no, like, that's Chris Ortega when I'm at the gym. That's Chris Ortega at the coffee shop. That's me when I'm talking to you. So I think when you're able to build these brands and you're able to build it on the core of who you are, right? The core of what you are, the core of what you want to do, the impact that you want to have, the motivations that you want to bring, the perspective that you want to have, like, then it's not branding. It's just me being me. Yeah. So I always tell people is like, find your voice and find your truth, right? And just know, like, think to follow it and forget the vanity metric. I don't care about the followers. I don't care about the comments I got, the likes, the shares, the rescribes. I know my marketing team at Fresh FP&A, keep your earmuffs on. I know you're like, Chris, we care about that. What are you talking about? But as you show up, man, your voice matters. The perspective that you have to bring matters. And just be who you are. It is so hard. And I see some people that they have this online persona, and then you meet them in real life and you're like, something's not connecting. Like, I missed something, right? So that's my advice, man. Is like, I show up. This is how I show up. I mean, I sit at coffee conversations. Like, I go every Friday. I do this thing and I go work at my local coffee shop that's up the street. And I sit back in my corner and I'm on my team's meetings. I'm jamming out. And like, there's always somebody that comes up to me and just like, dude, who are you? What do you do? And like, I just need to know, because you have, and I'm just like, well, I'm a CFO and I run a global CFO business. And they're like, I don't even know what that is, but like, I can tell you love it. You know, it's like, I can tell you love it. So I think my biggest point around that for everybody that's looking to build a brand, man, be who you are, show up, your voice matters, and find that brand identity that closely aligns to who you are as a person. Because then you're not separating the brand from the person. It's just who you are, right?
Yeah, I love that. I mean, it's contagious. I say you have this executive attraction power, right? It's authentic, and it is definitely something that's pulling people in, hence your example too. But I remember our last conversation. I haven't forgotten this, and I don't know if you remember this, but one of the words you use, and I think you do this so well and it inspires me, is you're so not only purpose driven, but you said you have to create, and you use the word, and you change up your tonality. I remember this was impact. Like, what is the
Yes.
impact that you're making? And I'm like, man, that's true. Like, we
Yes.
have this
That's
platform, we
it.
get to talk to so many people, do what we love. And it's like, but what impact am I making in my community? What impact am I
Right.
making locally, or in businesses around, in my case, Houston or Indiana, right? Or throughout the country and the world. Like, we have this opportunity with this financial literacy, not only the losses, but the wins that we've gathered and all the learnings in between. And we have an opportunity to create an impact. And I love that you do it.
Huge.
You do it so well. I'm curious, because you've been in the corporate arena and you gave your story earlier. Now CEO, you're grinding. I'm sure in the beginning was even more of a grind, but an
Yeah.
entrepreneur. Like, what did you learn from a leadership aspect, like leading your team at Fresh FP&A? Like, what have you learned, and how have you evolved over time?
Man, I love this question, Albert. And I honestly, it's one thing. If I was to distill it down to one thing that I've learned over the last 4 years, and here, like, giving more context of like my background, like I always worked with great CEOs, owners, and founders of businesses, right? Like I've always, when I was even at public accounting at Ernst and Young, like I didn't want to just meet with the controllers and the finance teams. I always made it a job to go meet the CEOs and owners of those businesses, right?
Mm,
And I'll never forget like a super impactful moment in my career that kind of like set a legacy for me. I was at Ernst & Young as an auditor, and I was auditing Eli Lilly, and I was going through their Sarbanes-Oxley walkthroughs and testing controls. So it's like the summertime. It's like super chill, and I'm doing Sarbanes-Oxley 404 work, which is basically going through like processes, and I was going to order to cash. I was going through fixed assets at Eli Lilly. And I remember walking in, and this African American gentleman walked in, and the whole energy of the meeting changed. Like
mm,
it was, I was like, something, a dynamic just changed. And he, at the time, he was the CFO of Eli Lilly. And I remember I kind of gave a quick presentation because I love presenting in front of people. And after the conversation, he said, "Hey man, can you stay after? I want to have a conversation with you." And this was at the time I knew like it was, Derek Rice. I was like, oh
mm,
man, like he's talking to me afterwards. And he had the realest conversation with me, man. And he says, "Hey, do you know the value of the work that you're doing?" And I said, "Yeah." I'm going through, I'm understanding process. He's like, "No, no, no, no." He's like, "If you're able to understand the financial processes that we have here at Eli Lilly, if you're able to understand how we do order to cash, if you're able to understand how we post fixed assets and depreciation, those are the skeletal framework of every businesses."
mm.
So like, knowing the processes is like, the body that is the organization that's driving this publicly traded behemoth of a company. And when he said that to me, bro, it just like hit me. I was like, this is awesome. So fast forward like now, and to me, like the number one thing I had to learn in my role right now is I had to stop thinking like a CFO
Mm,
and start thinking like a CEO,
yeah.
right? Like that's still an ongoing process, man. I find
Mm,
myself sometimes I go in CFO mode, but I get great mentors, I get great people, and they're like, "Chris, you got to put on your CEO hat." And the moment I start doing that, I start thinking like a CEO. I'm having better conversations with CEOs, owners, and founders. I'm
mm,
having better opportunities to lead my team. So I think for me, that's been the biggest unlock, man, is like having the experience of working around some really great, high influential CEOs, owners, and founders that kind of gave me that knowledge, gave me that insight. Even some of them now today are mentors of mine that still give me that
awesome.
mentorship. And now I'm able to apply that in my own organization with my own team. And just to
Love
know,
that.
like, I think every leader, and I'm the first one to say this, everybody, honestly and vulnerably, I don't have it all figured out, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I
I'm the
think I
same way.
always looked at any leader that always has a response and an answer to every question. I always like have the little red flag go up
Right.
because there's no way you have every answer. And I think for me, it's like being vulnerable. And there's sometimes I talk with my team, and there's certain things we look at or things we do, and I'm like, guys, I don't know the answer, but like, how
Mm,
can we figure this out together? Or like, what resources can I go tap in? So there's humility, there's vulnerability, and just like knowing what you don't know and not like what you do, but also providing the opportunity for those people that have the skill sets that you don't have, get them, give them the tools that they need, empower them, and just let them be great. So for me, I think that's the number one thing, man. I had to stop thinking like a CFO and start thinking like a CEO.
I appreciate you sharing that. And I know myself included, there's a lot out here listening to that and just like, it's okay to have humility. And I think we all face that sometimes, even that imposter syndrome. It's like, hey, good, you're
Facts.
human. Like it's real, right? And you
Yeah.
surround yourself with people that can cover or give them an opportunity, empower them. And I love that you're sharing that.
Yeah,
I'm sure
man.
your team
You
loves
got
that.
to.
So I got two last questions and I want to be respectful of your time. I got these on LinkedIn.
Cool.
What is one skill, if you were to pick one, right? I'm sure there's more than one, but what is one skill finance professionals should master now to future proof their careers?
100%. You got to learn the business. Get out of your spreadsheets, get out of your Excel models, get out of that and jump into the business.
I
You
love
have to have
that.
that business acumen. You have to have that insight. You have to have that ability to be able to know the business. So that'd be my number one thing. Go learn the business.
Love that. And then my last question, right? I know we don't have a crystal ball, but you get to experience, and you mentioned some names today, you get to experience a lot of people throughout the country, throughout the world. You get to see things that are not only already here, but things that are coming specifically in finance and AI. What's your prediction for the future of FP&A and CFO leadership for SMBs over the next 5 years?
Man, my bold prediction is looking at the office of the CFO, and you're starting to see trends of this now. There are more CFOs that are going into that CEO role.
Mm-hmm.
I will continue to see that, and I goes back to the question you just asked. Why are those CFOs moving into that broader CEO role? The number one reason is because they know the business, right? They have the business acumen. They know their go to market strategy. They know their ICP. They know how they operate. They have this broader business experience and context, but they have the skill set and the acumen and the information of a
Mm.
CFO. That's why you're starting to see. So I think my bold prediction right now, maybe we'll fast forward 10 years from now, we'll have this conversation again.
Yeah.
You're going to see more CFOs moving into that CEO role and leading the entire organization. And the best way for you to get down that path is go learn the business. I'll give everybody one tip. If you want to take a practical tip right now to go learn the business and you're in corporate, you're in your environment, go have conversations with your sales and marketing leaders.
Yeah.
Go to them and ask them one question. Very easy. What are the challenges, frustrations, and opportunities that you see in your area? And here's the key. How can I help support you in solving them?
Mm.
You immediately build that partnership with sales and marketing. You learn how they sell. You learn the ICP. You learn their go-to-market strategy. You know the competitive landscape. You know the total addressable market. You'll build so much of that business acumen outside of finance. Go partner with sales and marketing. You start doing that now, you're going to be CEO one day.
I love it. And it's not just resource management there, but that is making an impact in your organization and your
100%.
career. So good. Well, I appreciate you, sir. You're always raw, authentic. I really love everything that you're up to. Man, those team members that are with you, I'm sure they love you, and it's so lucky to be around you. You're just, again, contagious with your energy, your passion for what you do, and you just help people. And I appreciate that. We've had some great, authentic conversations. You've given me some great feedback. Thank you for being on here. For those that want to learn more about you and Fresh FP&A, how can they find out more?
Yeah, so just check out with me on LinkedIn. Just Chris Ortega, or type in the Growth CFO. You type that in there, you'll find me. If you want to learn more about Fresh FP&A, make sure to check us out at www.fresh, F as in Frank, P as in Paul, A as in Apple.com. Happy to connect. You can go to our website, schedule a free CFO strategic conversation. You'll get with me and my CFO team, and we'll start hammering that out on the business and helping you out. Connect with me, follow me, and here's the thing: in the age of AI, guys, like, I answer my messages. It's not like a VA. It's not like a bot.
Wait, Chris, are you real? Are you a bot? Are you an agent?
Yeah, it is actually me, because I actually want to be authentic. So yeah, man, those are all the places to check me out. Check out Fresh FP&A, and if you're an SMB struggling with financial clarity and confidence, we'd be happy to come help you. So check us out.
We appreciate you, and thank you too. We love Fresh FP&A. Thank you for supporting Valicites. You've been a great support partner and just giving me some great advice. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So everyone listening, thank you for your time. This has been the Valsites podcast. As always, I'm your host, Albert Ramos. These episodes come out every Monday, 8 a.m. Central. We're looking forward to seeing you next time. Chris, thank you. Such a pleasure.
Peace out, everybody.
All
Thanks,
right,
man.
sir.